The cold steel of the gun barrel pressed against my temple like a lover's whisper turned sour. And in that split second before the trigger pulled, I saw her face, my sister Lila's, smirking from the shadows of the courtroom gallery. Her eyes gleaming with the victory she'd stolen from my grave. Blood didn't spray. It pooled warm and accusing on the cold tile floor of the execution chamber. My last breath a ragged curse against the family who'd sold me out for a slice of the corporate pie. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my 28-year-old body on a rainy Tuesday morning in Seattle. 3 years before the noose tightened, with the bitter taste of overbrewed coffee on my tongue and Lila's betrayal still a ghost in my veins. I blinked at the steam rising from my Seattle Seahawks mug, the one with the chipped handle I'd bought at Pike Place Market during that family trip when we were kids. Back when family meant something other than a pack of vultures circling a fresh kill. My apartment, tiny, overpriced, but mine, smelled like damp rain seeping through the cracked window and the faint vanilla of the candle I'd lit last night to chase away the loneliness. It was 7:42 a.m., October 15th, 2022, and my phone buzzed on the Formica counter like a hornet trapped in honey. The screen lit up with Lila's name. Her photo, a candid shot from our last hike up Rattlesnake Ledge. Her arms slung around my shoulders. Both of us grinning like idiots under a sky that hadn't yet turned stormy. In my previous life, the one that ended with a lethal injection for a murder I didn't commit, that call had been the first crack in the dam. Everly.
Hey, sis.
Quick favor, can you cover my shift at the office today? I'm hungover as hell from that networking thing. Her voice had been all sugar and spice, the kind that masked the arsenic drip. I'd said yes, because that's what big sisters do. Clean up the messes. I dragged my ass into Harperteka's gleaming glass tower in downtown Seattle, logged into her workstation in the finance department. And that's when it happened. The emails. The falsified ledgers. The smoking gun of embezzlement that wasn't mine, but hers. Lila's desperate grab at quick cash to fund her side hustle in crypto scams that had tanked harder than a lead balloon. They'd pinned it on me. Human resources had swooped in like hawks. My badge yanked before lunch. Security escorting me out past whispering cubicles that reeked of stale microwave popcorn and fresh betrayal. Lila had played the grieving sister card perfectly. Tears in the boardroom. Whispers to mom and dad about how I'd always been jealous of her golden girl glow. By evening, the cops were at my door, cuffs glinting under the sodium streetlights, reading me my rights for grand larceny and fraud. The trial was a circus, tabloids splashing, tech darlings double life, across front pages. My face pixelated but unmistakable. The American dream inverted into a nightmare of orange jumpsuits and fluorescent hell. But that was then. This time, as I stared at the buzzing phone, my hand trembled not from fear, but from the fire of foreknowledge scorching through my veins. I let it ring out, watching the screen go dark, then pulled my email. There it was. The innocuous request from HR. Team-building exercise, swap duties for a day to foster empathy. Lila's brainchild. Of course. She'd volunteered me, sweet-talking our manager into it, knowing full well what waited in her inbox. I deleted the email, my thumb hovering like a guillotine blade.
No.
Not today. Not ever again. I called in sick to Harperteka. Hoarse voice, vague cough, then showered off the phantom sweat of prison showers that still haunted my dreams. The water ran hot, scalding away the residue of that final appeal denial. The appeals lawyers defeated sigh over the phone. Everly, it's airtight. They got you on the wire transfers. Airtight.
My ass.
It was rigged. Laced with Lila's digital fingerprints she'd scrubbed clean while I rotted in county lockup. Her visits dripping with crocodile tears and, "I believe you," cis platitudes that masked her glee. Dressed in jeans and a faded Nirvana hoodie, Kurt Cobain's ghost nodding approval from the fabric, I grabbed my laptop and headed to the nearest Starbucks. The one on Capitol Hill, where baristas knew my order, triple shot Americano. No room. The line snaked out the door. Hipsters tapping away on MacBooks. The air thick with espresso and quiet ambition. I claimed a corner table, plugged in, and started digging. In my last life, I'd been too shell-shocked to fight back, too trusting to question the family's united front. Mom and Dad, retired teachers from Tacoma, had shown up at the arraignment with Lila in tow, their faces etched with disappointment that cut deeper than any judge's gavel. "How could you do this to us, Everly? After everything we've given you?" Everything they'd given? A roof over my head through community college. Sure. But the real inheritance was this: a sister who'd clawed her way up the corporate ladder on my back. And parents who'd chosen blood over truth because Lila was the successful one. The one with engagement ring from that tech bro douchebag. The one whose Instagram feed glowed with filter perfection. By the time the appeals ran dry and the governor signed off on the fast-track execution, Washington's death penalty reinstated in a populist wave 3 years prior, they'd cashed in my life insurance policy early. Some loophole for predeceased assets, funneling it straight into Lila's Fresh Start Fund. I'd overheard the prison chaplain relaying the news. "Your family's grateful for the closure." Grateful. The word still burned. I cracked my knuckles. The laptop screen, a portal to the past I now wielded like a weapon. First stop, LinkedIn. Lila's profile. Polished to a sheen, senior financial analyst at Harper Tech. Endorsements from the very execs who'd testified against me. I screenshotted it all. Timestamps intact. Next. The dark web forums I'd bookmarked in my mind from late-night cell block whispers. Crypto sleuths trading tips on tracing ghost wallets. Lila's scam had been small-time. Ponzi schemes targeting boomer retirees with promises of guaranteed 20% returns, but sloppy. One blockchain explorer later. And there it was, her wallet address, linked to a series of transfers from Harper Tech's slush fund, disguised as consulting fees. My Americano went cold as I cross-referenced public records. Mom and Dad's mortgage, refinanced last year with a suspiciously large down payment. Lila's condo in Belltown, bought cash. The pieces clicked like handcuffs, snapping shut. But this time, I was the one holding the key. By noon, I'd compiled a dossier, PDFs of ledgers, wallet traces, even a cached email chain from a disgruntled ex-colleague who'd bailed on Lila's scheme and ghosted her. It wasn't ironclad yet, but it was enough to start the unraveling. The rain had picked up, drumming against the cafe window like impatient fingers. I texted Lila back. "Can't cover. Feeling off. Talk later." Her reply pinged instantly. "OMG, seriously? I have this huge presentation. Please." I smiled. Thin and sharp. Typing. "Sorry.
Sis.
Handle your own mess for once." Hitting send felt like dropping a match into dry tinder. The fire would spread slow at first, then devour everything. That night, back in my apartment, I poured a glass of cheap Cabernet, nothing like the rock gut prison wine, and scrolled through old family photos on my phone. There we were, Easter 1995. Me in pigtails pushing Lila on the swing set in our backyard in Kent, Washington. She was 5. All gap-toothed grins and sticky fingers from cotton candy. I'd protected her then from bullies at school, from Dad's belt when his temper frayed after a bad parent-teacher conference. Everly's my hero, she'd lisped, hugging my waist. Heroes don't get repaid with framed jobs and family exile. The wine soured in my mouth as I remembered the burial. No body, just an empty casket and a priest droning platitudes about God's mysterious ways. Lila had delivered the eulogy, voice cracking just right. My sister was troubled, but she had a good heart. We'll miss her fire.
Fire.
Yeah, I'd burn them all this time. But not with flames. Too quick. Too merciful.
No.
I'd use the American way. Lawsuits. Leaks. The slow grind of bureaucracy and public shame. Debt notices were just the appetizer. The main course would be watching them choke on their own lies. Sleep came fitful, haunted by echoes, the clang of cell doors, the sterile click of the four-drip. But morning brought clarity, sharp as the space needle piercing the fog. Day 2 of my second chance, I lawyered up. Not some public defender this time. I wired what savings I had to a pitbull attorney in Pioneer Square, specializing in white-collar whistleblowing. Everly Hart. His voice crackled over the line. All gravel and cigar smoke. Heard of you, wait.
No.
That's not right. Anyway, you got dirt. I emailed him the dossier. More than dirt. It's a goddamn quarry. We met at his office that afternoon, walls lined with framed settlements and a view of Elliott Bay churning gray. Marcus Hale was in his 50s, ex-prosecutor turned defense shark, with a handshake like a vice grip and eyes that missed nothing. This sister's a piece of work, he grunted, flipping through the PDFs. Framing you for her screw-ups? Classic Cain and Abel with a side of Enron. What's the play? Sue for defamation? Wrongful termination. Everything, I said, leaning forward, the leather chair creaking under me. But quiet at first. I want her to sweat, think she's home free. Then we drop the hammer, SEC filings, IRS audits, the works. And the family? They get served first. Literally. He chuckled, low and approving. Debt notices? Petty, but poetic. You send those. It's harassment territory, unless backed by real claims. We can spin it as preliminary demands for restitution on the embezzlement losses you'll prove were hers. By evening, the papers were drafted, cease and desist letters laced with veiled threats of exposure. Invoices for emotional damages tallied at $500,000, pulled from thin air, but rooted in the pain I'd quantify later. I signed them with a flourish, my signature bolder than before, as if inking a declaration of war. The first strike landed via certified mail the next day. Lila's condo got hers at 8 a.m., just as she was probably chugging her green juice and scrolling Zillow for upgrades. Mom and Dad's split level in Tacoma followed at noon, timed for their bridge club let out. I imagine the scenes, Lila ripping open the envelope in her marble-floored foyer, her perfectly highlighted hair falling forward as her face drained of color. What the fuck, she'd mutter, dialing me with shaking hands. Mom, in her floral apron, fumbling glasses onto her nose. Dad bellowing from the lazy boy about, another one of Everly's tantrums. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Lila first. Everly, what is this shit? Debt notices? Are you insane? Call me now. Voicemail. Then texts. This isn't funny. Mom's crying. Dad's threatening to cut you off for good this time. Cut me off? From what? Their conditional love? I let them pile up, savoring the digital avalanche. Then fired off a group text. Consider this the bill for the life you stole. Pay up, or the real receipts come out. The backlash was swift. Laced with that Midwestern passive aggression our family had perfected, Mom's era, transplanted to the Pacific Northwest. A call from Aunt Karen, the self-appointed mediator. Everly, honey, this is unbecoming. Family doesn't sue family. Unbecoming? Tell that to the appeals court that deemed my execution fitting. I hung up mid-sentence, blocking the lot of them. But Lila, she was smarter, sneakier. That night, she showed up at my door unannounced, rain-slicked and furious, her trench coat dripping onto the welcome mat that read, "Home Sweet Home," in ironic curls. Open up. Everly, we need to talk. Her fist hammered, voice pitching high enough to wake the neighbors. I peered through the peephole. Her face distorted but beautiful, high cheekbones, eyes like storm clouds, the kind that made men propose on first dates. In another life, I'd envied that, now. It just fueled the rage. I swung the door open, blocking the threshold with my body. Talk. Like how you talk to HR about my instability? Or to the DA about my motive? Her eyes widened, genuine confusion flickering before the mask slipped back. What are you even look? This debt crap? It's delusional. You send more. I'll get a restraining order. Mom and Dad are devastated. They think you've lost it. Lost it, I laughed, bitter and bark-like. 3 years ago, I lost everything because of you. The job, the freedom, my goddamn life. You framed me, Lila. The ledgers, the transfers, it's all coming out. She stepped closer, voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper we'd shared as teens plotting against curfews. Framed? Everly? You're paranoid. That was a mistake, bad accounting. Not. A mistake that landed me in prison. Executed for your greed. The words hung heavy, the rain pattering like distant applause. Her face paled, but she recovered fast, lashes fluttering in feigned hurt. Executed? What are you on about? You got fired. Yeah. But you bounced back. This victim act? It's tired. She glanced past me into the apartment, calculating. Let me in. We can fix this. Like old times. Old times. The temptation clawed at me, the ghost of sisterhood. The what-ifs of a world where blood meant loyalty. But I saw the flicker in her eyes, the schemer. Always 3 steps ahead, ready to twist this into another narrative where I was the villain. No, I said, firm as rebar. Sign the papers. Pay the debt. Or watch it all burn. I slammed the door, the deadbolt thunking home like a judge's gavel. Her protests faded into the storm, but I knew it wasn't over. Lila didn't fold. She fought dirty. That was the secret I'd buried in my first death, the one that made her untouchable, our family's unspoken pact. Dad's old gambling debts from his teaching days, bailed out by Mom's secret inheritance from a distant uncle that smelled like hush money. Lila had discovered it young, used it as leverage to keep us all in line. We're in this together, she'd say. But it was code for I know your dirt. So play nice. In the quiet of my apartment, I booted up the laptop again, diving deeper. Public records led to probate courts, then to a dusty corner of the Washington State Archives. Mom's uncle wasn't family at all, a shady developer from the 80s who'd cut her a check to bury a land scam. Lila had known, weaponized it to justify her own shortcuts. The embezzlement? Just the tip. She'd been laundering through Harper Tech for years, propping up the family facade. By midnight, Marcus had a follow-up email, more ammo, including a subpoena for Lila's bank records. "This'll stick," he wrote. "But heads up, your sister's lawyering up too. Some firm out of Bellevue. Smells like corner cutting." I poured another glass, toasting the screen. Let her. The game was on, and this time, I held the board. Weeks blurred into a tense standoff, Seattle's relentless drizzle mirroring the chill settling over our fractured clan. Lila went radio silent after the doorstep showdown, but the moves came indirect. Passive Facebook posts from Mom, proud of my girls, even when life's tough, tagged with photos of Lila at a gala, arm in arm with her fiancé, Chad the Chad, that venture capitalist with the veneers brighter than his Tesla. Comments flooded in. Family first. 2 hearts from cousins who'd ghosted me post-trial. I resisted the urge to comment, to eviscerate, but the itch grew. Work became my anchor. At HarperTech, I threw myself into audits, ironic, given the past, climbing the ladder one spreadsheet at a time.
My boss,
a no-nonsense woman named Rita with a buzz cut and a tattoo peeking from her cuff, noticed. "Everly, you're a machine." That Q3 report? Gold. Promotion whispers circulated. But so did rumors. Lila had been reassigned after an internal review flagged irregularities. My doing? Not yet. Marcus was building the case, filing anonymous tips with the SEC that traced back to her desk without fingering me. Home life, though, a minefield. Grocery runs turned paranoid. I'd spot Dad's old Ford Taurus idling across the street from Safeway, him pretending to read the paper but stealing glances. Once, at the checkout, my card declined sabotage, a frozen account from some fraud alert they'd triggered. I paid cash, fuming, and that night drafted the next volley, amended debt notices, now itemized with reparations for lost wages, $150,000, and pain and suffering, $200,000, backed by psych eval notes Marcus had me forge. Wait. No. Legit ones from a therapist I'd started seeing to unpack the reincarnation rage. The twist came on a crisp November Saturday. Fog rolling off Lake Washington like cigarette smoke. I'd driven down to Tacoma for recon, parking a block from the folks' house. Binoculars trained on the picture window. There they were, family brunch. Lila holding court with mimosa in hand, gesturing wildly. Laughter, genuine, gut deep, spilled out, stabbing me like forgotten shivs. Then Chad pulled up, all bro shake and backslaps with Dad. Engagement party planning? The envelopes I'd sent were props now, waved like battle flags in some inside joke. Rage boiled, but so did clarity. This wasn't just about money, it was the erasure, the rewrite of history where I was the black sheep who'd self-destructed. I needed proof, the kind that shattered illusions. Slipping through back alleys, I circled to the side yard, the one with Mom's rose bushes still blooming defiant against the chill. The basement window, cracked open for fresh air, Dad's eternal vice, beckoned. Heart pounding, I crouched, phone flashlight cutting the gloom. Inside, boxes of my old stuff, shoved aside for Lila's overflow, designer shoes, tax files spilling like confetti. I snapped photos, receipts for anonymous donations to political PACs, funneled from HarperTech. Deeper in, a lockbox. Combination my birthday, irony's cruel joke. Inside, letters. Mom's handwriting, trembling. Lila, honey, we can't keep covering the money from Everly's policy. It's tainted.
Policy.
My policy, cached pre-death. And Lila's reply, printed email. Tainted? It's survival. She was going down anyway, better us than nothing. The basement air thickened.
Closing in.
I gagged on the betrayal's aftertaste, but pocketed a flash drive from the box, Lila's backup, encrypted but crackable with a quick Google on brute force tools. Back in the car, rain sluicing the windshield, I drove like hell back to Seattle, the drive a blur of wipers and white-knuckled fury. Marcus met me at a dive bar off I-5, pool cues clacking in the background. Jackpot, I gasped, shoving the drive across the scarred oak table. He plugged it into his tablet, eyes widening as files bloomed, spreadsheets of laundered funds, emails coordinating with Chad's VC firm for off-books investments. The buried secret unfurled. Lila hadn't just embezzled, she'd built an empire on it, propping up the family's debts. Mom's medical bills from that routine surgery gone wrong. Dad's poker losses digitized into oblivion. This is felony territory, Marcus murmured, signaling for another round of IPAs. RICO level, if we tie in the fraud ring. But, Everly, exposing this? It torches bridges. Your parents go down too. Bridges? They'd burned mine first. Torch 'em, I said, clinking glasses. But with a fuse I control. The plan crystallized over foam and nuts, leak selectively. First, to Harpertech's board, anonymous, via Marcus's paralegal. Then, a whistleblower piece to The Stranger, Seattle's alt weekly, framing it as corporate rot from the inside. Last, the family, a sit-down, my terms, with recordings rolling. December crept in, Christmas lights twinkling like false hopes on Queen and Hill. Lila broke the silence with a text. Truce? Holiday dinner at home. Mom's making your favorite lasagna. Favorite. As if memory was currency. I agreed. Neutral emoji masking the storm. The drive to Tacoma was a gauntlet of memory lane, passing the high school where Lila stole my valedictorian spot with borrowed notes. The park where I nursed her through her first breakup. By the time I pulled into the driveway, strung with icicles and a wreath that screamed Norman Rockwell lies, my resolve was diamond hard. They were waiting in the living room, fire crackling in the hearth, presents wrapped under a tree heavy with ornaments from our childhood. Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched, but I sidestepped, nodding cool. Dad grunted from his armchair, newspaper folded like a shield. Lila lounged on the couch, wineglass in hand, Chad beside her scrolling stocks, oblivious or complicit. Didn't matter. Everly, you came, Mom's voice wobbled, eyes red-rimmed. We miss you so much. Miss the version that footed bills and forgave sins. Sit, I said, claiming Dad's recliner, the one with the permanent dent from his ass. They complied, tension coiling like smoke. I pulled out the flash drive, dangling it like a noose. Before Grace. A story. Remember the policy? The one you cached while I awaited the needle? Silence. Thick as fog. Lila's glass paused mid-sip. Everly. Not this again. Yes. This. I plugged into the TV. Files projecting in harsh blue light. Transfers. Emails. The ledger of lies. Gasps rippled. Mom's hand to mouth. Dad's face ashen. Chad shifted. Uncomfortable pawn.
You. How?
Lila stammered. Color draining. Ghosts, I said simply. The reincarnation truth, too wild for this room. You killed me, Lila. Not the state, the betrayal did. Fired, framed, forgotten. And for what? To keep this facade afloat. Dad cleared his throat. Voice gravel. We didn't know. Lila said it was a mix-up. A mix-up that cost my life. The words landed like punches. Mom's sobbing now. Controversial? Hell yes. Airing dirty laundry at Christmas. Weaponizing holiday cheer. But catharsis burned sweet. Lila lunged, eyes wild. You think you're innocent? You were always the screw-up. Everly, jealous, clinging. I did us a favor. Favor. The dam broke. I stood, voice steady. Sign the confession. Repay every cent. Or, tomorrow, it all goes public. SEC.
DOJ.
The 6 o'clock news. Chad bolted upright. This is blackmail. Justice, I corrected. Delayed. But due. The room fractured, then shouts. Tears. Lila hurling accusations like confetti. Mom begged for mercy. Dad retreating into silence. I let it rage, recording every syllable on my phone hidden in my pocket. When the dust settled, Lila scrawled her name on the papers Marcus had snuck in my purse. Face twisted in defeat. You win, she hissed. But you'll always be the dead girl walking. Outside. Snow flurried soft, blanketing the lies. I drove away, the weight lifting, but not gone. Victory tasted like ash, family in ruins, but mine to rebuild alone. The new year dawned brittle and bright. Seattle's skyline a jagged promise against the Puget Sound. I'd won the battle. But war simmered in the silences, Lila's glare at that forced family dinner haunting my dreams. Her words, dead girl walking, echoing like a curse. The confession sat in Marcus's safe, a nuclear option. While repayments trickled in, wire transfers from Lila's account, grudging checks from Mom and Dad labeled restitution love. Family.
Love.
The word curdled, but the bank balance climbed, funding a down payment on a condo in Fremont, troll statue and all, where I could breathe without ghosts crowding the corners. Work at Harper Tech ramped up. The leaks had borne fruit. Rita pulled me into her office one gray afternoon. January frost etching the windows. Everly. The board's cleaning house. Your audits flagged the rot. Quietly. But effectively. Senior analyst? It's yours if you want it. Her eyes twinkled. A rare crack in the armor. I accepted. The rays a balm on old wounds. But paranoia lingered. Was Lila pulling strings from her sabbatical? Chad's firm had gone radio silent on investments. Whispers of audits circling like sharks. Evenings. I hit the gym, CrossFit in a warehouse by the locks. Grunting through burpees to sweat out the rage. There.
Imit Yaksh.
A tattooed engineer with a laugh like thunder and scars from a tour in Afghanistan that mirrored my invisible ones. You fight like you've got scores to settle, he said one night over post-workout IPAs at the Hat and Boots. I shrugged, deflecting with a grin. Aren't we all? Our talks veered deep, betrayals bite, second chances snatched from jaws. He didn't pry, just listened, his hand brushing mine accidental on purpose. But family? A minefield booby-trapped with guilt trips. Mom's voicemails piled up. Everly. Please, your father's not well. The stress. Stress. From their reckoning. Not my resurrection. I visited once. In February. The house stale with unspoken accusations. Dad coughed into a handkerchief, Emphysema's grip tightening, eyes avoiding mine. "Bills paid," he grunted. I nodded, throat tight. Lila was absent, working late, but her shadow loomed in the fridge magnets, rearranged to spell forgive and forget. I left early. Chocolate chip cookies untouched on the counter. The controversy brewed online first. Some cousin, blood diluted by distance, posted a vague TikTok. When your fam turns into a soap opera. Toxic relatives send help. It went semi-viral in our Pacific Northwest bubble. Comments dissecting the sister who snapped. Lila retaliated with a Substack essay. The cost of envy, reclaiming my narrative, painting me as the bitter has been clinging to grudges. Blood doesn't always mean bond, she wrote. Words twisting like knives. The shares hit 5K. Influencers chiming in with protect your peace, mantras that vilified me by proxy. I could have fired back, leaked the confession, gone scorched earth on socials. Marcus urged restraint. Build the case. Don't burn the courtroom. Instead, I channeled it into therapy, unpacking the reincarnation with Dr. Lena, a no-bullshit shrink in Capitol Hill with a bob haircut and a penchant for herbal tea. This other life, it's trauma manifesting, she said gently, but I saw the doubt. Or it's real, I countered, detailing the execution chamber's chill, the smug DA's face. She nodded, neutral, but prescribed journaling. Write the revenge you crave, then rewrite the ending. The journal became my confessional. Pages filling with fantasies, Lila in cuffs. Family estate auctioned off. Me toasting from a penthouse with Jax. But reality intruded March 14th. A subpoena arriving via courier. Lila suing me for defamation, claiming the debt notices irreparably harmed her reputation. Marcus laughed when I forwarded it. Bluff. Her lawyers are bottom feeders, over-leveraged on contingency. We counter-sue for everything, malicious prosecution, intentional infliction. The deposition was a circus, held in a sterile conference room downtown, fluorescents buzzing like angry bees. Lila arrived in power armor, tailored suit, hair in a chignon, Chad flanking like a Secret Service reject. She perjured smooth, eyes locking mine. Everly's always resented my success. The notices? Harassment born of jealousy. I testified calm. Dossier projected. The flash drive files. Blockchain trails. Her facade cracked when the SEC rep joined via Zoom. Face pixelated but voice steel. MS. Heart? We're investigating irregularities in Harper Tech transfers. Your cooperation is advised. Post-depo. In the elevator. Lila cornered me. You think this ends it? I know things. Everly. About you. That night in college, the party, the blackout. Mom covered for you. Remember? The elevator dinged. Doors parting like jaws. Blackout. The memory slammed. Sophomore year.
You fought besh.
Too many Jager bombs. Waking to regrets and a pregnancy scare hushed by Mom's emergency fund. I'd buried it deep. The shame of weakness. Lila's smile was venom. Patered. I stumbled into the rain.
Gut Churning.
Buried secrets, hers and mine, colliding like tectonic plates. That night, Jax found me at the gym, pounding the heavy bag till knuckles bled. Talk, he said, wrapping my hands gentle. Over takeout foe in his Ballard loft, exposed brick. Vinyl spinning Springsteen, I spilled. The frame job. The death. The do-over. He listened, brow furrowed, then pulled me close. Sounds like bullshit. But your eyes don't lie. Whatever it is, you're not alone now. His belief was oxygen, fueling the push. April brought spring's tentative thaw, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the waterfront. I greenlit the leak. The stranger ran, Harperteca's hidden hemorrhage, bylines redacted, detailing the laundering without names. Lila's world imploded, fired publicly. Chad bailing with a mutual parting press release. Mom called. Hysterical. She's your sister. Have mercy. Mercy? I'd begged for it in the appeals room. The climax crested mid-May. A humid evening that smelled of salt and reckoning. Marcus summoned me to his office. It's time. Full disclosure to the feds, RICO indictment incoming. But Lila moved first. Showing up at my condo uninvited, disheveled in yoga pants and a hoodie. Mascara tracks like war paint. Everly. Please. They're coming for me. For all of us. She collapsed onto my couch. The one I'd bought with restitution cash. Sobbing authentic for once. I stood over her. Arms crossed. The journals rewritten ending whispering, forgiveness as freedom. Why? I asked, voice cracking. The scam. The frame, why me? She looked up, eyes hollow. You were always the strong one. I needed to be. Just once. And Mom. The inheritance? It was dirty money from Grandpa's affair. Payoffs. I fixed it. For us. Grandpa. The developer uncle. Affair with grandsister. Scandals hushed. The secret's root. Rotten and deep. I sat beside her. The divide narrowing. Fixed? By destroying me. Tears flowed. I didn't mean after the firing. It snowballed. The trial. I thought you'd beat it. Lie. But laced with regret.
Vi tar sked till dawn.
Unspooling the thread, her crypto desperation post Chad's first dump. Dad's debts resurfacing. Mom's cancer scare, undisclosed. Terminal? Controversial decision loomed, drop the suit. Take a plea deal. Preserve the fragments. By sunrise. I texted Marcus. Stand down. Mediation. Lila left with a hug. Fragile as tissue. Promising restitution in full. Jax met me for breakfast at a greasy spoon. Pancakes drowning in syrup. You good? He asked. Thumb tracing my knuckles. Not yet, I admitted. But maybe. The twist hit like a gut punch 2 weeks later. Subpoena in hand, not from feds, but IRS. Mom's inheritance, tax evasion trail, leading back decades. Lila's laundering's the capstone. She'd confessed partial to me, but hidden the bomb, audits frozen assets, liens on the family home. Dad's health tanked, hospitalized, bills mounting. Lila called. Voice breaking. It's over. They're taking everything. Guilt gnawed. Reincarnation's gift curdling. I'd sought justice, but unearthed apocalypse. In the hospital waiting room, beeping monitors a dirge. I held Mom's hand as she whispered, Forgive us, baby. We failed you.
Dad.
Tube snaking. Rasped.
Proud. Now.
Lila hovered. Shadow of her former self. I brokered the deal. Testify against the enablers, Chad's firm. The PACs for immunity. Lila took the fall. 5 years federal. White-collar wing. Mom and Dad kept the house. Scraped by on pensions.
Me?
I walked. But scarred. The victory Pyrrhic. Summer solstice. Jax and I hiked Rainier. Summit air thin and pure. Second chances, he said. Ring box glinting in his pack, proposal casual. American as apple pie. I said yes. The past a scar. Not shackle. But in quiet moments, I wonder, was the rebirth mercy or curse? The family mended. Fractured anew, love's ledger balanced in red. And Lila's letters from prison? You saved us, sis. Burn bright. I do. But the fire's wary now, casting long shadows. Autumn leaves crunched underfoot like brittle bones as I navigated the prison's visiting room. Fluorescent hum, underscoring the awkward hush. Lila looked smaller behind the plexiglass. Orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame. Hair pulled back in a no-nonsense ponytail that screamed institutional chic. 6 months in, and the schemer's edge had dulled to something human, lines etching her eyes. A tattoo of a locket peeking from her collar. Memorial to Mom, who'd passed quietly in July. Cancer claiming what the secrets hadn't. Everly, she breathed, picking up the receiver. Voice tinny through the line. You came. No accusation. Just surprise laced with gratitude. I debated it for weeks. Jax's hand warm on my shoulder during the drive up from Seattle to the Walla Walla facility. His pickup truck eating miles of I-90 wheat fields. You don't owe her, he'd said. But owing was the family's curse, debts unpaid. Circling eternal. I had to, I replied, settling into the plastic chair. The room's other visitors a mosaic of regret. Teary moms. Stoic dads. Kids drawing hearts on the glass. Mom's service. You should have been there. Buried secret number 2. Her will. Probated in tears. Leaving me the house, for the strong one, and Lila a pittance. To rebuild. I'd sold it quick. Proceeds split 60-40. My cut funding a trust for Dad's care home. The ironic poetry not lost. Lila's fingers traced the divider. Parole hearing next spring. If I get it. Trailing off. The what-ifs hanging heavy. Our talks veered safe. Dad's improving grumbles about cafeteria food. My wedding plans with Jax, small. Beachside in Olympic National Park. No family drama invited. But undercurrents pulled. Remember the debt notices? She asked.
Half smile wry.
Genius.
Petty.
But genius. I laughed, surprising myself. Inspired by too many true crime pods in my downtime. Reincarnation wink unspoken. The absurdity, a private joke with the universe. She nodded, then sobered. I owe you more than money.
Ev.
The frame job, it wasn't just greed.
Chad.
He pushed it. Leverage for his fund. I was in over my head.
Chad.
The ghost I'd banished, but not exorcised. Post-indictment. He'd flipped, testifying to lighter sentences, vanishing to Cayman hideaways with laundered loot. Marcus had chased leads, but the trail went cold offshore accounts, shell companies thicker than Seattle fog. He's the real villain, I said, voice hardening. You were the tool. Tool with a choice. Her admission hung. Controversial absolution I'd wrestled in therapy. Villainy not binary, but a spectrum of fuck-ups.
Dr.
Lena called it compassionate reckoning. Forgive to free, not forget. Easier preached than practiced. The buzzer sounded. Visits end. And we pressed palms to glass. A ritual of fractured sisterhood. Driving back. Golden hour painting the Cascades. Jax's playlist shuffling Fleetwood Mac. Go your own way. I felt the twist uncoil. Revenge's high faded. Leaving space for messy grace. But Grace had teeth. I filed one last motion that week. Pro bono through Marcus. Extradition push on Chad. Whistleblower rewards funding Lila's post-parole housing. Winter wedding came soft and stormy. Rain sheeting the Driftwood Shores pavilion. Jax in a flannel tuxedo hybrid. Me in a lace gown that whispered against salt air. Vows exchanged under a driftwood arch. His I do steady as tide. Mine laced with unspoken oaths to this life. Unbetrayed. Dad attended. Wheelchair-bound but beaming. His toast slurring sentimental. To Everly, our Phoenix. Phoenix. Fitting. If they knew the full burn. Honeymoon in Maui blurred days into bliss. Snorkeling reefs teeming with color. Jax's laugh chasing away shadows. But on a black sand beach at dusk. Phone buzzed. Extradition approved. Chad in cuffs at Miami International. Interpol's gift. Lila texted from inside. Heard. Justice tastes sweet. I replied. Bittersweet. Like you. Back home. Our Fremont nest. Troll mailbox winking. Life settled into rhythms American as Starbucks runs and Mariners games. I climbed at Harpertech. Heading compliance, now. Ironies layered like lattes. Jax and I talked kids someday. A tabula rasa family. No legacies of lies. But the buried secrets whispered. Dad's confession one scotch-fueled night at the care home. Tears tracking wrinkles. Your grandpa. The affair? It broke your gran. We covered to protect. But it poisoned everything.
Poison.
The root rot. Generational. Seeping into Lila's schemes. My first death soil. I visited her monthly. The ritual a bridge mending slow. Spring parole hearing, I testified. Voice steady. She's paid. Let her rebuild. Granted. Conditions strict, monitoring. Restitution logs, but freedom's door cracked. Summer release day. I picked her up in Jax's truck. Her duffel light as regrets. Where to, she asked. Sliding in. The Cascade foothills unfolding like possibility.
Fresh start, I said.
My couch till you land on your feet. But rules, therapy, honesty. No shortcuts. She nodded. Eyes on horizon.
Deal.
And Everly, thanks. For not letting me stay the villain. Villainy, I knew, was choice's echo. We drove south. Toward Portland gigs in nonprofits, her MBA repurposed for good. Controversial? Hosting your betrayer. Wedding band glinting beside her silhouette. Tense? Every shared meal, a minefield of what-ifs. But in the rear view, the past shrank. Seattle's spires fading. Climax's echo lingered in headlines. Chad's trial. Fall 26. Spilling empire's guts. Firms crumbling. Pax probed. My anonymous tipped the spark. Rewards check cleared 7 figures. Half to Lila's trust. Half to a scholarship fund. Everly Heart Women in Finance. Ironies full circle. Twist's final turn came autumn. Pregnancy test pink positive. Jax whooping in our kitchen. Lila now barista stable, bringing pie to celebrate. Auntie duties, she teased. Hand on my belly. I smiled. Real and raw. Only if you earn it. Rebirth's arc closed not in blaze. But ember glow. Revenge sated. Not slaked. Family reforged. Flawed but fierce. The American dream. Dented but durable. Betrayal's scar tissue tougher than skin. And in quiet nights. Rocking chair creak. I whisper to the unborn. We'll write our own story. No debts unpaid. But sometimes, in dreams, the gun returns, barrel cold. And I wake gasping. Jax's arm anchor. Second chances? Costly currency. Paid in full. Years folded like accordions. Time's bellows breathing life into what I'd clawed back from oblivion. By 2030, our daughter, Riley, named for the rattlesnake ledge hikes of happier ghosts, toddled through the Fremont condo, her giggles chasing shadows from corners. Jax thrived at Boeing, prototyping drones that hummed like hopeful bees, while I consulted freelance, auditing startups for ethical skeletons, my rep as the whistleblower whisperer preceding me like a cape. Lila? Rebuilt. Brick by stubborn brick. Post-parole. She'd parlayed barista shifts into community college admin. Then a nonprofit gig auditing grants for native land trusts, poetic payback. Laundering turned legitimate. She dated Cautious, a quiet librarian type named Sam. Their evenings board games and bad puns. Normal's underrated, she'd say over takeout. Riley smearing sweet potato on her jeans. Annie status earned. Scars displayed like badges. This one's from prison yoga, slipped disc of regret. Dad lingered till 28. Passing in sleep. Care home bed neat as a soldier's cot. His funeral was small, us. A few old teachers. Lila reading a eulogy that echoed mine from the phantom burial. He wasn't perfect, but he tried. We scattered ashes at Green Lake. Ducks quacking indifferent. The right closing a ledger on his debts. Literal and not. Family gatherings evolved. Thanksgiving at our place. No mimosa-fueled monologues. Just pie fights and Riley's crayon masterpieces. Controversial undercurrents simmered. Cousins thawing slow. Aunt Karen's jabs dulled to water under the bridge. But tension's embers flared occasional. Lila's Substack revival. Redemption routes, drawing trolls who unearthed old headlines. DMs accusing me of profiting off pain. I'd block. Breathe. Remind myself, exposure's price. Paid forward. The real twist slithered in spring 31. Riley's third birthday bash at Discovery Park. Balloons bobbing like escaped dreams. Chad surfaced, not in flesh, but pixels, a true crime docuseries. Silicon Shadows, dropping on Netflix. Framing him as anti-hero fallen to hubris. Lila, and I binged it furious. Wine glasses clinking in solidarity. Her commentary savage. That smug fuck twists the narrative like it's his TED Talk. But buried in credits. Special thanks to E. Heart for insights.
Me?
I'd consulted off-record. Feeding fact checks to the producer. A journalism prof I'd mentored. Closures guys. But Lila spotted the angle. You fed him the family angle too?
Didn't you?
To gut punch.
Guilty.
Controversial call, exposing the root rot. Mom's inheritance scam. Grandpa's ghosts for public catharsis. The series spiked. Interviews requested. Lila's phone buzzing with redemption arc offers. She demurred. But it cracked old wounds. Was it worth it? Dragging us through again. Worth ending it, I said. Riley asleep between us on the couch. No more secrets festering. She nodded, but eyes shadowed. Summer brought the backlash. Tabloids dredging my execution as urban legend. Harpertech heiress's death hoax. Headlines twisting reincarnation into clickbait. Jax fielded calls.
Stonewalling.
While I lawyered up anew defamation suits against the worst offenders. Settlements funding Riley's college. Climax Redix hitfall. Lila's wedding to Sam in a Tacoma backyard. Leaves turning fire orange. I walked her down the aisle, surrogate dad. Arm looped. Riley flower girl scattering petals with glee. Vow simple. I choose you. Every messy day. Reception toasts veered teary. Sam's best man quipping. From boardrooms to backyards, Lila's plot twist. Laughter rippled. But mine caught. Plot twist indeed. The schemers sanctified. Honeymoon postcards arrived from the San Juans. Kayaks and quiet. Normal addictive. But November. A package. Anonymous. Postmarked came in. Inside, flash drive. Labeled loose ends. Heart hammering. I plugged it. Files spilling. Chad's final confessions. Recorded pre-suicide overdose. 29. Whispers said. Detailing the frame job's genesis. Lila was complicit, but Everly. She was the mark. Framed her to test loyalty.
Test.
The buried secrets nadir, not greed alone, but a sick initiation. Chad's cult-like VC circle weeding weak links. Nausea rose, but fury steadied. I forwarded to Marcus. Statute run? No. Conspiracy evergreen. Lila confronted over coffee. Drive in hand. He tested us. Me for the kill. You for the fall. Her face crumpled. Then hardened. We burn it. No. I decided. Controversial to the core, preserve, not purge. Use it. For the series sequel. Or a book. Turn poison to antidote. She agreed. Tentative alliance forging stronger. We co-authored outlines. Sister's ledger. Ghostwriter handling the prose. Proceeds to victims' funds. Crypto widows. Framed execs. Launch 33. Bestseller lists. Tours in cargo pants and Converse. Riley tagging along with crayons. Twists coda. Riley. 5 now. Asking bedtime truths. Auntie Lila bad once. Jack's field soft. But I lean in. We all stumble.
Kiddo.
What matters? Getting up. Making right. Revenge's arc. Once razor-edged. Blunted to wisdom's curve. Happy? In fragments wedding bands. Toddler hugs. Lila's laugh unforced.
Beakik.
Lingers in scars. The what-ifs of unlived first life. But second chance's gift. Agency. Reclaimed. On rainy Tuesdays. Coffee steaming. I trace the Seahawks mug's chip. Toasting ghosts. To resets, I murmur. The universe. Silent. Winks back. And in the end, debt notices? Framed on the wall. Yellowed relic. Paid in full.